This is a sort of generic course template. Abby and I worked on this together. Then you might have seen some of the course template that look a little bit like this. This is not the one that you get every semester. We designed this with hybrid and online courses in mind. We think that having a separate orientation module with some anchors and with some language might help instructors teaching online and hybrid courses. And so that's why this course template looks like this. Okay, so we have an area for the syllabus, and here we have a link to the syllabus checklist provided by the Provost's office. And so as you can see, so this is a slightly different course template. We call it the online course template, and we're happy to share it with you if you like this structure and you would like to use it. So if you do want it, what you have to do, of course, is to either make me part of your course or ask me, and what I'll do is I will export this and ship it to you, and then you can import it into your own course shell. Okay, so let's see. Let's go through the steps. So first, under packages and utilities, I would open it. And first, let's do a course copy. And click on that. And before I start selecting, let me show you the course where I am going to put it into. Okay, so then you'll be able to see the difference. So this is a more generic course shell. This is the one that you get every semester. It has these two content areas of course documents and course materials, right? So this looks a little bit more like what you usually see. So I am going to copy this into this. So I am here. And so this is my source course, and this is my destination course. So I need to click on Browse. Okay, I get a little pop-up. You might not be seeing it, but what I do is I find my course, and I click on Search. Let me stop sharing one more time. I don't think you're seeing the pop-up.
No, we didn't see it.
Yeah, so let's try this one more time. So I'm sharing my entire desktop. So, okay, pop up, did it come up?
Yes.
Okay, so this is the course shell that I'm going to copy it into. It's called, contest course. And I'm going to click on submit. Okay, so now I've chosen. So I start from the source and I pick my destination. The destination is where I'm going to copy it into. And here comes the fun part. I need to pick what I want to copy into the other course shell. Oh, and before I do that again, I want to show you that anything that was already here will stay. Okay, so this is old stuff in the other course. Okay, so all this, even when after I make the copy, all this will stay. Going back to my source. For the most part, you want to check all the content areas, right? Because this is where you have all the materials, all the videos, all the documents all the readings that you have, and all the links that you have made. So probably all that, except for, say, for example, if I was copying the textbook, the OER textbook, and I didn't want chapter 2, this would be a place where I could not copy chapter 2. But definitely all the content areas. Usually the announcements I wouldn't copy. Okay, some professors will copy from semester to semester, but because the announcements might change, and if you have and you want to change the dates, and so I wouldn't copy announcements. Contacts you probably want to copy, because contacts is actually that instructor information. Okay, and so your instructor information probably does not change except for your office hours and maybe your Zoom link from the other semester. But contacts is actually that instructor information. So if you already have a little bio written out, just include that. Discussion boards. If you're using discussion boards, I would recommend this, but think about how you want to do it. Most professors will just build the forum, okay, and just copy the forums. But some professors will also have a starter post with the prompt, okay? So if that's what you do, then copy the starter post with each thread in each forum. This depends on how you do it. Anonymized means that when it gets copied, it won't come with a name. Okay, and then you have to, when you open the new course shell, it will ask you who do you want to assign it to, and of course you want to assign it to yourself. If you are a professor who actually lets the students start their own thread and you only create the forums, then do this. All right. An important thing is gray center columns and settings. You definitely want to check this off if you have announcements, if you have created a link for the students to submit papers to you, if you have built-in quizzes. Okay, definitely check off gray center columns and settings. You want that so that it also gets set up in the new course shell. Many times departments will have rubrics, for grading. I know the English department has it. I also have some examples of rubrics in my online course shell. And so if you want to include rubrics, check that off. Maybe the banner, if you have a banner, department banner, or at least just a generic one for the professors to either change up or to get an idea, definitely do that. And test surveys and polls. You definitely, again, want to do that. If you have any already built-in quizzes, if you have pools of questions, maybe you got that from your publisher, the publisher of your textbook, definitely include that. If you're using my online course template, I do have some surveys in the form of feedback to collect feedback from your students, and so definitely do that. I will scroll down a little bit more and let you see that you don't want to mess with this. Just keep, what it says for file attachments, and definitely do not include enrollments. If enrollment means everybody who was a user in the original course. So you want no enrollments because you want the enrollments for the new semester to stay intact. So don't copy any of the old students or the old professors in the original course. Okay, so I did not go through all the choices. Would you like me to? I just talked about the ones that I think they're most important. Okay. Content areas, context, because that's your contact information, discussion board, gray center columns and settings, rubrics, the banner image. Many of you will use other parts of Blackboard, and definitely if you do that, then check that off. If you have some terms in the glossary, if you're using journals, okay, definitely check those off. But I think that for most professors, this is actually the choices that you will make. All right, I'm going to click on submit. So it doesn't happen right away. It says a course copy action is queued. I will get an email when the process is complete. How long does it take? I don't know. And it depends on when you do it in the semester. If you do it, say, the first day of the semester or the day before, you might take a long time, okay? I've heard professors who don't realize that sometimes it takes that long, and they will make multiple copies. And then, of course, the destination course will have multiple copies of the same thing. So my recommendation is not to do it too close to the beginning of the semester. If you can, if you have the luxury, try to do it the week before. Try to do it, at the end of the semester to get ready for the new semester, if you can. I usually don't wait for the email, and I actually just go to the new course shell, and I do a little, here's a little recycling type of icon. Even if you click on refresh, okay, if the new stuff is there, it'll come in. Okay, so do you see it did come in? Okay, I didn't have to look at my email, and it did come in. It didn't take very long, but now I have to clean up, because now I have a copy of everything, but sometimes some pieces are sort of doubled, or there are two pieces on Blackboard tools, and then there's tools here, which is the same thing as Blackboard tools, and so I definitely don't need both, so I can delete one. So then what else? I also have my grades. Okay, my grades is here only one time. but I have faculty support and student support twice, because faculty support is this technology for faculty, and technology help is the same thing as student support. Actually, it's not exactly the same. I'll show you. So for the student documentation, for student support, this is what I see. But then for student support here, there's a little bit more. Okay, so you would probably look at it and decide which part you prefer to keep. Faculty support is not open to the students. You can see there's a little line across it, which means that this content area is hidden from the students. So this faculty support has this information, but technology for faculty has just a little bit more. Okay, so this is the part that that got added, that's built out. And so if you need to delete something, this is how you do it. You go to the little arrow next to it, and you just click on delete, and it will ask you to confirm, and the whole content area gets deleted, and it goes poof. Okay, so you don't have it anymore. Many professors ask me about these lines. Okay, these are lines that you can move around, okay, with the navigation, in the navigation, and they are things that you can add, and they are called dividers. They are really helpful to help guide, okay, your eye. And so what I usually do is, like, for example, here, I'm thinking that these are the stuff that students need at the beginning of the semester, so I group them at the top. These are 3 things that the students will use throughout the entire semester, so I group them here. And then these are other, you know, helper type of things, tools and tech stuff, and so I put them below. So use these dividers to you know, help guide your students and guide your view of the course. And so here is the course already copied. Okay, another place, not only the content areas you need to, you know, clean up and move things around. Another important place to clean up is actually the grade center. You will see that now in the grade center you have doubles of things. You'll see. Let's see. Okay, this is too much to see. Let me go and show you a different way of looking at it that is a little bit more manageable. If you go to manage and go to column organization, you basically see the grade center turned around in a 90-degree view. So I'll scroll slowly so you see anything that you want to keep at the top and frozen or a little closer to the left-hand side, you can move to this area. And then you'll see all the columns, and you'll see that there's a double weighted total, and there are 2 totals. Okay, and so this is the part that you probably want to get Momita to help you. Try to do it at the beginning of the semester, so you have it set up and ready for the new semester. Okay, and so for the totals, I actually know for sure that it doesn't matter, and I can actually delete one, and at the beginning of the semester, it doesn't really matter. So I can continue and just delete because there's no information there. Okay, so I can delete, I can submit, and instead of having 2 total columns and 2 weighted total columns, I'll only have 1. Okay, so this is what I mean by you do need to spend a little time cleaning things up, and you do need to know a little bit about, you know, the ins and ends of the outs and ends of Blackboard. Okay, what else? So then the other thing I wanted to mention is actually how to make not the course copy, but the import export. Okay, which is a different process, and you want to do that if you do not have access to your instructor's course shell, or you don't have one person who's an instructor in both courses. So you go again to packages and utilities, which is actually okay, and the black navigation menu. And you want to do an export or archive of the course. You click on that, and you get to this page. And originally, you do not see anything here. Okay, you actually have to export the package. You have to choose to export the package. And here's what happens: your entire course gets put into a little zip file. Okay, that's a zip file that you will share with your colleague, and then your colleague needs to download that and then upload it into his or her Blackboard course shell. Okay, this needs to happen if you do not have access or if it's a completely separate system. And so let's see, again, you choose, okay, what you want to put in that little zip file. So you choose everything that you would copy. So probably at this point, not the contacts, because your information is different from your colleagues' information, but everything else you would click and click and then submit. Again, once you submit, it looks like nothing happens. Okay, you have to wait, you have to refresh, and at some point, yes, you get a double and you get another something to download. This is the zip package that you need to download and share with your colleague. Very important part is not to unzip it, not to unpackage it, because it loses its structure and then you can't import it into another Blackboard course shell anymore. Okay, so it's important to do this. Not use Firefox, use Chrome. Do not use Safari, because Safari will automatically unzip things. Okay, so use another browser, and do not open. Okay, save it. Okay, save it, because then it'll stay as a little zip file. Okay, so do that. And now that you have that, you'll find it in your downloads folder, share that with your colleague, and ask your colleague to import it. And the import process, what they need to do is they need to go to their Blackboard course. They need to go to import, not course cartridge, but import package. Okay, so obviously all this probably requires some instruction and some help, and and so it depends on how you want to share and the instructions that you might need to share with your colleague. I will tell you, of course, where to find those instructions. And so coming back to my presentation here, these are the tips and reminders, and here are some resources. Of course, you have Momita and her teammates at the Technology Resource Center who can help with that. You have their group's email address and Momita's specific email address. And then you have these documents prepared by the Blackboard team. Okay, so this is the link to the entire website with all the documents. So if you get this, say okay to that, because it is an okay website. Okay, here you have all the Blackboard documents, but I also made links to specific ones. So copying course materials, okay. This is the step-by-step document that takes you to basically all the steps that I just went over, okay, course copy. And then exporting and then customizing navigation menu. I picked these three because I thought those were the most relevant. Okay, and of course, you also have ABME to help. We can do, an online consultation. You can come to office hours, or we can book some time to actually do this just with a little more time. Tips and reminders. Tips and reminders. Decide how you. That's a very important part. Decide how you want to share, and it might depend. Okay, it might depend on the person. It might depend on the setup. So if you need, some to talk you through, feel free to reach out. If you're sharing through an export import, don't use Safari because it will automatically unpackage. It will automatically unzip. It's very important that it stays as a zip file to be able to get imported. If you're copying the course, see if you want the coordinator of the course or the department chair or the individual instructor to make the copy. You heard on Tuesday the challenge with the folks in the psychology department. If you make the instructor an instructor in the source or in the template course, that instructor might make a mistake and make a change in the source, in the template, and then that gets replicated. So think about how you want to make to do that. When you're enrolling, okay, people in your course, either as a TA or as a course builder or as a person who can help you design, it's best to use the EMPL ID, okay, those numbers in your IDs, and use that as just a username. Sometimes if you use the email address, a person's email address might be different in Blackboard, and you might not be able to find that person. So using the EMPL ID, and then also choose not the preview user, but actually the name of the instructor. Okay, and also remember to click on find users to enroll. Many times we do a quick search and we say, oh, we don't find the person, but it's because we didn't click on find users to enroll. Not sure if I'm making sense to you here. Let's go to a course here in, let me show you what I mean. So when you want to add somebody, right, you go to users. And here, the list is actually everybody who's already in the course. But if you want to add somebody, you want to click on find users to enroll. Okay, this is a step that's often forgotten, and I get an email saying I can't find the person. It's because you've probably forgot. You just did the search here and you clicked on go. If you do that, you just find the people already in the course. Okay, so what else? Well, include, yes, definitely all the materials, the discussion forums if you use them, the tests and the rubric, and the Gray Center columns and settings. That's very important. If you have anything that is a test, if you have anything that's an assignment, you need to include the Gray Center columns. Otherwise, they don't get shipped over. Okay, do not include course enrollments. Imagine if I included all these instructors that are in the developmental course shell into your semester course shell. It'll be very messy because everybody will have a role in your particular course. Okay, definitely not the enrollments. What else? And try to make the copy, not the first day of class or before the first day of class. Try to find a time that's the Blackboard is unlikely to be broken and unlikely to be very busy. And just like the psych professors talked about on Tuesday, if you have many people who might use this course template, maybe you want to write some instructions or create a little video to give them tips on how to use it. Okay, and then I would say, share the help of resources, right? So this stuff at the bottom, tell your colleagues about it, and so we're here to help. All right, I'm sorry I talked so long. I will now pause and hear some questions. And maybe Julie, you want to stop